debate with me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the Skill Game, brought to you by Sleeper. Big one tonight, Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens, an early season statement game for these two teams, two really good teams in their respective conferences. Last time these two teams met in the regular season, it was not close, and it got ugly quick for the Detroit Lions. But Lions are a different team now. So are the Ravens. Both teams looking for a signature early season victory. That was a really impressive showing last week for Detroit, bouncing back from an ugly loss in week one. Meanwhile, the Ravens wasn't the prettiest last week against Cleveland. We saw what the Cleveland Browns defense is all about as they took care of Green Bay, a team that beat the Detroit Lions in week one and made it look very easy. And them themselves bouncing back from a disappointing, loss in week one in a game that they dominated and should have won handily and instead allowed the Bills to come back and steal from them. So these two teams looking for an early season signature win. This is going to be a fun one. You got two guys that were heavily involved in the MVP race a season ago in Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson. Many argue Lamar should have won his third MVP last season, but that's nor here nor there. This is going to be a very fun game to take in week three to wrap up the week three slate of NFL games. So let's talk about what we think, or what I think is ultimately going to take place in this game. So you got a Lions team that we had questions about coming into the season. Lost both of your coordinators. How is this team going to fare? It was Ben Johnson such a big part of the machine that was the Detroit Lions that they won't be able to bounce back with their new offensive coordinator. And it looked like, after week one, a lot of people were panicking. But week two, they were able to go out and look like the Detroit Lions of old. Now, again, that was against one of their old mates in Ben Johnson. So this is going to tell us if the Lions are, in fact, legitimately back or not. If they go out and they struggle like they did in week one, week two could have been a one-off because you were going up against Ben Johnson. You know him, you know his tendencies, etc. You had a little bit of extra juice maybe for him as well, but you knew what he was about and you knew how to attack him, right? This is going to tell us if the Lions are legitimately one of the best teams, not just in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. They can go to Baltimore. And again, we're not into moral victories, I'm aware, right? Especially when you're a team the caliber of the Detroit Lions, best record in the NFL last year, number one seed, etc. You're not into moral victories. But if you go to Baltimore, really tough place to play, especially on primetime television. I can't think of the last time the Ravens lost a primetime game at home. Now, they're pretty good on primetime in general, home or away. And I can't think of the last time that they lost a primetime game at home. They've played some really good contests with Cincinnati at home, but they always find a way to prevail in those games. They destroyed Buffalo last year early, similar spot here, right? Like Sunday night, week 3 or 4, just destroyed Buffalo, took them apart systematically in that game. Like that's what they do to teams in this stage, on this spot at home. And if Detroit can go in there and stand toe-to-toe with them, then I'll say, okay, yeah, Detroit's legitimately back. Nothing's changed. They haven't fallen off. They'll be okay this season. This is a big test for them. Conversely, for Baltimore, not the most impressive of victories last week, even though it kind of, you watch you look at the final score, you look at the box score, you're like, oh, yeah, they took care of business. It wasn't the cleanest of victories last week against Cleveland, but that's family business. You know how that goes. Sometimes not always the cleanest, but a win's a win in the National Football League, as I like to say. The week prior, they dominated Buffalo on the road and should have come out victorious there, but they self-destructed down the stretch of that ball game and allowed Buffalo to steal that one. So I just want to see them come out and establish themselves. They got a few guys out. Isaiah Likely is out of this game, and a couple of other guys that can be impactful. Kyle Van Noy, another guy that's out of this game. So we're going to see, just how the Ravens are able to adapt and adjust to some of their guys being out. But ultimately, I want to look and see how this Ravens team, looks from an offensive standpoint. I still don't feel like they rebounded the way that I thought they were going to off of the, disappointing week 1 meltdown. They didn't look like themselves. They weren't as sharp offensively. The defense really was the catalyst last week against Cleveland. I want to see if the offense bounced back this week against the Detroit Lions defense. That's okay. I don't think it's a great defensive unit over there in Detroit. I think they can be had. You can score the football on them. You can move the ball on them. So I want to see if Baltimore can get back to some of those things that they do well. Like Derrick Henry was not a big fixture in the game last week. Can they get back to Derrick Henry on the ground? Can Lamar, insert himself in the run game when need be? But more specifically, can they get back to throwing the football like they did in week 1? DeAndre Hopkins is one of the new toys that they have, and he's been inserting himself here and there with big plays in the end zone primarily, which is big time for them. Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, can these guys get it going? And then Mark Andrews, you know the vibes with the Ravens. I want to see if this offense can kick it back into high gear. And then defensively, I want to see if this Ravens defense can kind of take that next step to being a dominant unit. They were, far from that against Buffalo. They did some good things in that game, but they were far from dominant, obviously allowing the Bills to come back and win that football game. Last week, I thought they took steps towards that, but we know Cleveland's not that's not an offense that we would classify as top tier in the NFL. So, dominating them, holding them down feels like something you should be able to do if you call yourself a good defense. Here's a real test in the Detroit Lions, a team that's a well-oiled machine offensively, put up over 40 points last week. Can you do what you did last week to Cleveland to this Detroit Lions offense? We'll see. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. If you're Detroit, you want to come out, and I really feel like you need to establish some sort of run game. I really feel like you don't want Jared Goff in a drop back situation against Baltimore. You really want to be able to strike a balance between the run and the pass. If you can get the run game going, that's going to take some pressure off of Jared Goff, and it's going to lead to opportunities in the play action game so he can take those intermediate shots. And then eventually, if all goes well, you can maybe hit Jameson Williams over the top, right? But, Goff is probably at his best when you're able to go play action fake and he's able to work that intermediate area of the football field, those deep digs, those over routes, things of that nature. That's when Jared Goff, to me, is at his best and at his sharpest. So the run game is a huge part of setting those things up, getting those linebackers to suck up, creating those large windows in the middle of the football field where I think Goff is allowed to shine. If you can get to those type of plays, and a big part of their success offensively is Jahmyr Gibbs. When Jahmyr Gibbs is going, it feels like everything else is just falling into place for them. Then you start to see Amon-Ra St. Brown with 3 touchdown catches like he had last week. You start to see Jameson Williams get over the top and to get those explosive plays. Then you see Laporta open over the middle of the football field. To me, this offense goes as Jahmyr Gibbs goes. You get him going. He did not get going against Green Bay, and to me, that's the reason they struggled in that game. He got going last week. The offense got going. Then you can see this team really be at the peak of their superpower. So if you can establish him tonight, I think it's going to go a long way in helping this team establish themselves offensively. Defensively, I still haven't seen them dominate. I actually thought that Caleb Williams and the Bears had some success. It just wasn't sustained throughout the game for 4 quarters, but they had some success against this Lions defense. I felt like week 1, Green Bay had early success, and then they kind of just coasted. I don't think I've seen the Lions be dominant defensively since pre-Aiden Hutchinson injury last year. Seems like they've never really gotten back that swag that they had. This would be a great night to show that your defense can be a catalyst for success. This is a tough opponent to do it against, but if no time like the present, right? So I'm interested to see if the defense can stand up and rise to the occasion tonight. This is a tough opponent. Obviously, Lamar Jackson poses all types of problems, and Derrick Henry is still one of the best backs in football. And the Ravens have a plethora of weapons, as I mentioned earlier. So it's going to be a fun game. Ultimately, how I see this playing out is I see the Baltimore Ravens just being too much for the Detroit Lions. As I mentioned, the Ravens, they just don't lose at home in these situations. They just get it done I can't see them not getting it done against this Detroit Lions football team. They've had, an extra day to prepare. It makes them extremely dangerous. And I just think that Lamar and Derrick Henry and company offensively are going to be too much for that Lions front. I think they had one of their edge rushers get injured again in Davenport. This is the second year they signed him to a 1-year contract, and I think he got hurt again. So they're looking for somebody opposite of Aiden Hutchinson to step up. I don't know who that guy is for them. I don't know if that guy even exists. The secondary has always been, a question mark for them. Love their safeties. Love Brian Branch. Love the Illinois safety. The corners are always questionable in Detroit. And I think Lamar, with his legs and his ability to dot up defenses, I just think he's going to have some success. And then right when they think it's safe to try to start keying in on Lamar, that's when you're going to get some Derrick Henry action. And I actually think the Lions defensively do a solid job against the run. This is a different animal altogether when you start factoring in, Lamar and his legs and what he brings to the table. But I actually think they do a pretty solid job stopping the run. The question will be, can they do that again here and then kind of narrow their focus on Lamar in the pass game? If they can do that, they give themselves the best chance. But I just don't think they're going to be able to do that consistently throughout the night. Defensively, this feels like one of those teams in one of those games where Jared Goff struggles. Right? When you get teams that can be aggressive defensively, that can get after you, that can disrupt the passer, which is what the Ravens are. Now, not having Kyle Van Noy, does hurt them a bit because he's been one of their more consistent pass rushers over the last couple of seasons. But when you can get a team that can get after the quarterback and fluster them a little bit, which the Ravens do better than most teams in the league, Jared Goff struggles in those types of contests. And this is one of those games where he's going to get hit, where he's going to have pressure in his face. There's going to be interior pressure, the kind that no quarterback likes, especially a largely immobile one like Goff. And so this feels like one of those games where he might be a little flustered. You might be a little frantic back there. His feet may get a little happy. He may sail a throw or two, and you could see them picking one of those offerings off and kind of getting to him a little bit tonight. If he's able to remain calm, if they're able to protect him, give him time, this could be a lot closer game than I think I'm giving it credit for. I feel like this is going to be a Ravens win by 2 scores when it's all said and done, and not like by 17 or 14 or something like that. I think it's, a 9 or 10 point victory for the Ravens. A game that third quarter, it's close. Fourth quarter, the Ravens start to pull away a little bit type of deal. So I got the Ravens winning tonight. And I'm thinking this is, probably like a 30-20 type of ball game, right? Something along those lines, 31-23, 31-22, something like that. 29-20, something along those lines. That's kind of where my head is as far as score and how this game goes. But let's go ahead and get into the skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
So, Sleeper is a fantasy sports real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. I've talked about this app ad nauseum. I love the Sleeper app. It has brought so much enjoyment to my football watching experience. It's enriched my sports viewing experience. And again, I've said this to you guys before, and I'm going to continue to say this. Don't just limit yourself to the NFL like me. I always tell people, don't be like me, be better than me. Okay. I am an NFLer through and through. So the vast majority of my time on this app is going to be spent exploring options and opportunities via the NFL. But as you can see up top, There's the NFL, there's Major League Baseball, WNBA. There's so many different ways. And then NBA's around the corner, college football over the weekend. Like there's going to be ample opportunities for you to get busy and active on this app. Do me a favor. There's a link in the description of this and every single video that I do. Click that link. It's going to take you to where you can download the app if you don't already have it. If you already have it, you're already ahead of the game. All you got to do is use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on a deposit up to $100. That's right. A dollar for dollar deposit match up to $100. That means if you put in $100, they're going to give you an additional $100 to use on the app. And it doesn't take much to win money, as I'm going to show you here on this app. Now, I'm on a losing streak. I'm on a losing streak, a big one too at that. But at some point, I'm due. Tonight's the night like Betty Wright. Let's get it done. All right. So I'm going to click NFL. There's only one game in town this week, or tonight rather. Detroit, Baltimore. Let's look at. I'm curious because I don't really have a plan right now. I'm just winging it for this game. Normally, I try to go in with a plan. I don't actually have a plan right now, but I want to see what are some of the hot picks are, and then I'll go from there after that. So let's see. Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown. Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. Those both sound really good to me. I'll be honest with you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take both of those. Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, those sound like two guys that are going to find pay dirt tonight. Derrick Henry did not score last week. That was very disappointing. I imagine he's going to bounce back this week and touch the end zone. So both of those guys to get to the box, those are really good odds for me. DeAndre Hopkins, 20.5 yards. That's pretty hot and tempting. I'm going to leave that alone for now, but I may have to double back there. Trying to think about how I feel about the field goal kickers tonight. Jake Bates is a good kicker. I just don't know if because of Dan Campbell's penchant for going for it on fourth down, I just don't know if I can trust him to kick 2 field goals, right? You might be better off just going with the kick points. If the kick points are at, and I gave you what I thought the score was going to be, right? Like 23 or 20. If the kick points are at 5.5, I may decide to mess with it. Like Tyler Loop's 7.5 is way too many kick points for me. Way too many kick points. I can't fool around with that. Isaac Tesla at 13.5 feels like he makes one acrobatic catch downfield every game. That's usually more than 14 yards. I bet you he had 13 in week 1 and 29 last week. So the week 1 touchdown was the 13-yarder. That's why they set the number at 13.5. I'm a little nervous because he's like the 18th option on their team. But in garbage time or in late game situations, golf throws went up to him, and he usually makes some crazy one-handed catch. They're trying to entice me. They gave me a little bit more of a boost there. You see the 1.85. I don't know if that's enough to get me to bite, though. And it keeps scrolling down. Let's see. All right. So nothing else really strikes me as gotta have it, right? Tesla at 13.5 yards receiving is very interesting. Let's scroll through a few of these and see. Pass yards for both QBs. Yeah, I think I'm going to pass on both of those. Rush yards. Let's see. Staying away from Derrick Henry. Rush yards, because I think the Lions defensively have been pretty solid on the ground. Lamar as a runner tonight. What has he done this season? 70 in week 1 against Buffalo, but only 13. Like I told you last week. Now, Cleveland is a different animal. Totally different animal than the Buffalo Bills in week 1. They got it at 45.5, so 46 rush yards. I'll come back to that. I don't know if I want to go that high. Gibbs at 55.5 yards. That feels really good to me. But against this Ravens defense, I just don't know. I don't know. Receiving yards. There's some good options here. What has Gibbs done early in the season? Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that because you just never know. You just never know. You just never know how it's gonna go. Passing touchdowns. Both are at 1.5. Feels like a night where Lamar throws 2 touchdown passes. It really does. Gonna stay away from that though. Let's see if the rushing touchdown is higher than because Derek's not catching a touchdown pass. I mean, he can catch a screen, but how much is this anytime touchdown? 1.33. Let's see what the rushing one was. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Derek on the. I'm gonna go with Derek on the rushing touchdown. I don't need him for an anytime touchdown. I'll leave Gibbs for anytime because he can catch it out of the backfield. So we'll change that one just to give me a bigger boost there. Receiving touchdowns, I'm gonna stay away from those. Somebody's got to catch these touchdowns because we're gonna get some touchdowns tonight thrown by these quarterbacks, but somebody's got to catch them. You don't know who the hell it's gonna be, right? That's the problem. Receptions. Can I get DeAndre Hopkins to catch 2 passes tonight? Can I get Rashad Bateman to catch 3 passes tonight? Like these are. I think I need to live here. This is where I think I need to live, right up in here. Bateman for 3 catches. Hopkins for 2 catches. And I like the tight ends, but I don't love them. Feel like Andrews should get 4 catches, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. Completions. Goff feels like he's gonna have to complete some passes tonight if they're gonna win. But again, stay away from it. Field goals made. I think I'm gonna stay away from that. Kick points. Let's see what that looks like. I said 5.5. They're both at 7.5, so I'm gonna stay away from that too. Passing attempts, I'm gonna stay away from that. Rush attempts, I'm gonna stay away from that. Rush yards and pass yards combined. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that. Rush yards and receiving yards combined. I like Justice Hill at 27.5, but I'm gonna stay away from that too. Let's see what I got so far. So I got anytime Gibbs, Derek Rush, Bateman, and D-Hop both on receptions. Let's go back there. And I think I'm going to take that Tesla for 13 yards. I just need him to catch 1 pass, bro. 2 passes, I mean. Really, let me see. I think his receptions was at 1.5. I don't trust him to catch 2 passes. But I do trust him to catch 1 pass for 15 yards. That's all I need him to do, right? They're not going to throw it to him underneath. If they throw it to him, it's usually down the field. Just need him to catch it, and I need it to count. All right. So I am going to go to Tesla, and I'm going to take I wonder if that's going to affect my, you can't bet, but $10. So do I want that Tesla? No, I don't want that bad to where you affecting my joint with the boost. So I want to bet $15. So I'm gonna get rid of Tesla and put it back at 15. And what I'm going to do, I should take the less. But you know, with my luck, he'll have that one-handed catch again. So I'm not going to mess with that. Let's see. I think that let's see. All right. Exceptions. Told you this is where I feel like I need to live tonight. Laporta, he ain't really been killing it this year. I feel like this is one of them. So what's interesting about Sam, in games where they struggle, Golf is looking for him. In games where they tearing shit up, that's when he throwing it to the receivers. Sam don't really eat. Tonight feel like one of them games where Golf is going to be seeking this man out. I really want to take him. All right. You need 7 for Amara. I'm just leave that alone. That's too high. Gibbs had 10 catches in week 1. I can see that being, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take him on the catches too. I'm going heavy on Jameer tonight. So I got him on, so that I can't do that and the touchdown. Yeah, anytime touchdown. Okay. I'm cool with that because this is a bigger multiplier here than the anytime touchdown. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with this because I think he's going to get the ball a lot tonight in the pass game. I think he's going to get it a lot tonight in the pass game. Where am I at right now? I got 4 for 114. I want to do one more. Am I being greedy? Probably. See if I can find something that I feel good about. Let's see what the hot picks are one more time. Oh, let's go to Lamar rush yards. And I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna take the cheat code way. Let's see. Lamar rush yards. I'm gonna do some lazy shit. I'm gonna take 25. All right. I'm good there. All right. And then you got a boost that's available. So I'm gonna use that. Should I save that boost? Use it until you win. This don't feel like a joint that I need to boost. Either I win it or I don't. So I got 5 for with a chance to win 124. I like these ones. I don't need to go heavy on them. I like what I got here. Derrick Henry rush touchdown. Bateman more than 2.5 catches. Hopkins more than 1.5. You know what? Let me go to touchdowns real quick. Go to receiving touchdowns. See who they got up in here. Okay, so they don't have the people that I want. Is I would have if they had DeAndre Hopkins. It feels like he's looking for DeAndre Hopkins and he's looking for his tight end in the end zone. You're not giving me them 2 guys, then I don't see it happening. Now, I know if Golf get down there, he's looking for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's looking for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let me see what that does. Ooh, that boosted up. Man, you being greedy. Man, you being greedy. But you know that's who he's looking for when he get down there. Now, if I use the boost, all right, I feel good about that. All right, let's do it. So you got Derrick Henry, 1 touchdown rushing. Bateman, he needs 3 catches. Hopkins needs 2 catches. Gibbs needs 5 catches. I do think he's going to check it down a lot tonight. Lamar needs 25 yards rushing or more. And Amon-Ra needs 1 receiving touchdown. Okay. I'm going to rock with it. Submit my pick. Let's get it. So we'll come back tonight and we will see what I did there. So that is the skill game brought to you by Sleeper. Once again, use the app, use my promo code LTN, and get you 100% deposit match up to $100. We'll break all of this down tonight. Overtime, Ravens, Lions should be a really fun game. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully I'm coming back home a winner chicken dinner. I'll see you guys next time. I got one super chat real quick. And get this one knocked out. DGM Media, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Lou, you doing the DR again next year? Got a plan? Nah, I'm not doing it next year. I got so much stuff on the docket right now. It's like what I learned last year is that that's a huge undertaking. And unfortunately, I had some things come up that I couldn't foresee happening at the time, but it interfered with the trip planning. And I also got some stuff coming up this summer. And I want to make sure if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to do a trip like that, what I realize is I got to do that way out in advance. I got to block off the time. I got to give people more time to prepare for it if they want to do it. And I got to have all my ducks lined up. I thought I was prepared and I really wasn't myself. And then I had some things come up that I couldn't move around, and and then it was a headache trying to refund everybody all of their money and all of that stuff. It was a nightmare. So I need to be more secure on my end to do that. But I am going to try to do something like that again down the road. You know what I mean? And maybe it'll be like the Kings doing something like that, not just me. But, we'll see down the road. But anyway, I digress. You guys have a good one. Take care. See you guys later. Peace.